So this painting is going to be done, we're basically going to do it in ultramarine blue here, alizarin crimson, and you could either, this is lemon yellow, but cadmium yellow light would work just as well. So basically you have a warm blue, a cool red, and then the yellow. You can warm the red up with that. It works out really well. You can get a very full palette. So to start the drawing, basically, I want a neutral color, so I'm going to take the blue, and I'm going to take the red, and I'm going to take some yellow, and I'm going to just mix them together into a kind of a brown color. And I'm going to use a lot of water to start with, and then I can always mix white when I need to lighten things up. And I'm just going to develop it in this mixed brown color to start with. So getting ready to start this painting, this is my thumbnail study, just like for the watercolor. I'm using the same one. The difference here is I'm standing rather than sitting for the watercolor. And I want to use a viewfinder when I get started, just like we've shown in class, to start my painting. And this is more of a linear gesture than, sometimes I work with really broad brushes at the beginning, but this is, you know, I'm sort of starting, it's a lot of perspective, a little bit of perspective, so I'm starting a little bit more like I would start a linear gesture. So, as I'm seeing this is about here, and this is about here. I'm looking at the distance between those two. I want this really close to the edge. You know, that's more important than this one. And I want the size of this. I can even measure something. If I measure, the size of this to the size there's a little more distance, and then this wants to be about the size. So it is going to be about, say, there, that's a box. I can kind of eyeball a box almost better than a circle, but then that's where that's going to want to, if you can get a square, then usually you can create a circle pretty easily. Okay, so then I'm going to look at like where this is placed, and just slightly above it I see this, that piece is sitting there. This gray one is sitting right here between that, and it's very large. So I'm going to check the gray one so if I check the size of the gray one, it should be about that. That's about right. I think I'm gonna bring this up a little bit, and I'm also gonna bring this up because I feel like they're a little bit large, and I'm not having enough room on the bottom. So I'm gonna, for my own sanity, bring that up a little bit. And looking at the space, and also how they overlap, you know? I mean, basically the way, if I went up here, this red one should be about here in relationship to that. They're pretty close to each other. Okay. So, and since it's still wet, I'm gonna scrub some of this off. Then, so if this is sitting here, and I can see it's just slightly, this is just slightly above that, but basically I want to take a line right through the middle of my ball, right through there, okay? Then, from that, I can divide it in half and draw a triangle on both sides. It's a cone, really, but for my purposes at the moment, it's a triangle. This is going to have an ellipse shape on top and bottom. So, and basically it's dark, so I'm going to go ahead and just darken that in. It's basically a dark shape. I'll worry about detail later. Okay, the box that this is sitting on right here, it seems to go, there's a line back there and there's a line here. So this basically, the box is, I'm just going to really lightly sort of, that's about the shape that I want that to be in. It goes behind these things. It sits about out this far. The apple is sitting right in here, and then below the apple is this. So I can even check that angle if I want to. I'm going to come over here and check and see. It makes me want to put this a little a little bit lower, but I can't, so I'm going to put the apple higher. So, and if I want to show that, okay, the apple's going to be higher, I could just also take a little bit of red or a little blue and emphasize that's where that's sitting. This is where this is sitting. So where things sit on the ground is really important. This is closer, so it's lower. This is higher, so it's further away. Not a lot further, but a little bit. And then the way where this point sits, if I can locate the point, it's right here. In context with this, where I'm standing, the point of this gray, cone is right here. So if I go straight down, that means I want it to be more here. And I can draw an ellipse if I want to, and draw that in. There we go. See if that's thick enough. So that's going to put the cone where I want that to be in context with everything else. Then from this, up goes this yellow box. And it basically takes up, it goes above this box, it goes up, I'm just going to really lightly gesture that, about this high, and then about down this far, without thinking too much about the angles, because I know I want to check those. Basically, this is straight up and down, and this is straight up and down. So those are, and so is this one, straight up and down, which leaves me a little more room for the box than I did in the other one, which is nice. So that last line is up there, but this angle here, just want to double check that, from here to there. That's where I want that angle to go. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. Now this one here wants to be the same, so I can put that in so it's parallel. And the one on the ground as well, because it's a box, it's not a huge, like a building, you're going to start to find that the lines, it's so big and there's so much vast space between them that they do sort of converge at different angles. But here, parallel is just fine to make that work. So this gives me this, and then there's the angle there, and then this is going to go back. So we actually get to look into the box. I can actually see the apple sitting right here. It's kind of fun. All in shadow, pretty much. Maybe a little more space there, but not a lot. It's kind of leaning in this way. Okay. This is very close to this, so this is not as, it's a little taller than I made it. So I'm going to go up a little bit, like this, and then I'm going to go, just follow the same lines I had before. And that'll work just fine. Same thing here, follow the line I had before, and that can actually be a little face of what I have, the thickness of the 1x. That works really well. So, don't be afraid to make adjustments. Then we have this green box, which is sitting here and here. So, it goes behind that, it goes behind that. It goes across here. And now I'm standing so I can actually see the top, where when I was sitting I couldn't see it. It goes behind this purple. I didn't get this in last time at all. But, shape of the paper, my rendering, who knows. I'm going to actually try to get the whole thing on rather than cropping it, because I just prefer to do it that way. It's going to come down, as long as it doesn't look too weird, maybe I can get away with it. So nice and thick there. And that's going to fit there. I don't have a shadow here, so then I'm gonna, this green box, actually I'm gonna move this over so I can see into the green box more. And so I've just adjusted that a little bit. This plane is a little smaller. And it's it's dark in here, so there's a shadow in there. I know it gets a little bit confusing, but you can always, take another brush and try another color. It is very helpful to use stiff brush. My favorite stiff brushes are Brights because they have short bristles. So I can make a firm mark if I wanted to take some red. And so I know this looks thick, but basically, we're not red because of the color, but just red because it stands out against what's there. See, I can cut a line into that because it's a stiff brush. Okay, I can cut a line into this and straight down, separate that from what's going on here. This is the you know, maybe I'll do a little blue. Draw that in there, draw this in here. It does act different with oil, but it's okay with acrylics. And then where you see a little bit different color showing you what's going on. Okay, so this is the yellow box here. All right, so now I'm gonna take another look at this, and let's see. We've got the cone here. This one here, I'm gonna check this angle right here. It's gonna help me. So basically, nice, check the angle, and I'm seeing, you know, I've got a really thick line there. So what I want to do is kind of pinpoint where I want it to be, like maybe like right here to this point. Those are the 2 points, so I can draw between them. Then this is going to go straight down, and this is going to be a parallel line to that, okay? This is going back like this, and this is sitting on here, just like that. The apple is not quite touching, so wider at the top, narrower at the bottom. I don't need to get too specific. There's a shadow cast this way. There's also this funky shadow cast this way. My view is so different from standing. Just it's a whole different. Yeah, it's just different. So I'm going to go ahead and, like, I see a shadow here on this half of the apple. I'm going to go ahead and shadow that in. I'm going to go ahead and shadow this front plane here of this box. Darken it in. Okay. The half of this one right here. So again, I'm treating them all the same because I don't want to get caught in details. I'm just going over, I can always go over these and adjust the colors. But right now I just want shadows. This part, all dark, the top, this part is going to be lighter, and I'll pop a color in there a little bit. And the same with this one. This has got this sort of crescent shape. It's in shadow. And this side of the lime green box, in here under the yellow, in shadow. And it's in shadow. This here, the whole apple is in shadow. Oh, and there's an apple here too. So this shape, kind of slanted on top, around. Look at that. Looks like a little heart coming to a point there. Okay, this is a little bit flatter. There's a blue little tube right there. Okay, I'm not going to paint that. It looks weird. It looks like it's growing out of the pink one. So that's just a compositional decision, and it doesn't really help my composition, so I'm not going to put it in. In here, so get the green box. I know it doesn't look green right now, but basically it's all in shadow here. It comes down behind that. I don't really see the green box, but what I do is I see this light one, another box that comes out here and down. So I'm too tall to see where the green, there's like a speck of green there. And then this is in shadow, going behind the apple. And there's a little light there, and most of this, you know, is sort of the gray color there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to map in the table here also, and below the table right here. All right. Goes back behind all of that. I don't want to save the background till the end. People always do that, but you want to paint everything in context, so ignoring the background is really not going to help you do that. There's also a shadow that goes back in here, so. And then up here, there's a big color change from this to this. This starts, blackboard starts about here. Okay, and then there's a, strangely enough, there's a chair. I could put that shape in if I wanted to. I'm going to just indicate that right now. So that's a start. And what I'm going to do is make some colors to start blocking this in. So I'm going to pause for a second.